I'm Jake Kloberdanz. I'm the CEO and founder of OneHope. OneHope is a cause brand, most known for OneHope wine. We donate half of our profits towards different partner nonprofits for each different varietal, and you'll get a little look at that later on. Underneath OneHope, as well as wine, we're launching coffee in the next 2 months. We have what we call vertically integrated experiences, Hope at Home, that's like a Tupperware version of at-home wine parties. OneHope Weddings, Craft 1933, where we sell other established brands and we let them choose their cause of choice. And of course, the OneHope Foundation, which is in essence the foundation of our entire brand. But I'm here to talk to you guys about something much bigger than our little company today. Before we get started, to parallel what I'm talking about today, we're going to set a Guinness Book of World Record today here. We are going to pass or be right there next to Charlie Sheen. It's kind of sad that Charlie Sheen holds the only Twitter Guinness Book of World Records for being the fastest person to 1 million fans. So if you see something that resonates with you today, you'll see there's a hashtag and a theme with all of them. Give some love to TEDxPresidio. That's their handle. And I heard that a lot of people these days have mobile devices to do this. So let's see if we can't get this going. You have 3 choices on this slide, so in case you want to go for them. So we'll get into this. Greed is good. I am considered the millennial generation. Since I turned into an adult at 18, I have seen this. I've seen capitalism become kind of a negative contextual word in a lot of the ways that it's used. And I get disheartened when, 4 years ago we were going through tough times and the oil companies who are making billions of dollars quarterly aren't really stepping up and making an impact. You might get a little bit angry when you see the same Wall Street people who took our economy to the outhouse 4 years ago now going back on $1 million corporate retreats. And you might find it depressing that 1 in 5 children in America fight hunger. I'm depressed about it too. But there's a big population of us who don't have the time to go out and sit on the steps of financial buildings or in front of political monuments with signs. There's a big percentage of us who are just busy trying to drive the economy forward and all the while make ends meet as starving entrepreneurs or whatever you do in the daily life. There's a big percentage of us who aren't looking to call out the difference between the rich and the poor. We're just looking for an equilibrium where capitalism can thrive and we can still take care of our brothers and sisters and provide a minimum standard of living for all. We're looking for a world that provides clean drinking water and food for every citizen and optimally a basic level of shelter, healthcare, and happiness. It's not the 99% versus 1%. It's a new paradigm versus an old paradigm. And we need to shift the perspective, and it starts with what we're talking about here today. Cause-Centric Commerce. This is the future of business. Where cause is built into the DNA of capitalism. Cause is woven into the fabric of businesses. And every business has an opportunity to make a greater impact than just their bottom line. Whether it's local, regional, national, or global. This is not what we're talking about today. This is cause-related marketing. Cause-related marketing was and is a good thing. It's helped generate $5 billion for nonprofits, over $5 billion since it got created in 1983 with the Statue of Liberty Restoration Project. But cause-related marketing is no longer enough to solve today's problems. It's a disproportionate value to the business's bottom line and not enough of a value to the real impact to society. And that's why when I talk about this, the history and building towards this is very important to recognize. Cause-related marketing is a step along the way. The economy, the society, our culture are ready for a new model. We need a new model. Cause-Centric Commerce isn't a temporary campaign. It's a new business model and a new culture. Culture drives motivation. What a country cares about, covers, recognizes through intrinsic and extrinsic motivators is what drives culture. We talk about carrots. I learned about carrots in Business Ethics 101 in the Anderson Auditorium at UC Berkeley Business School. And it was pretty ironic that it was the Anderson Auditorium right while Enron was being exposed. And I learned about intrinsic and extrinsic motivators very early on. Extrinsic motivators being rewards, cash, all the things you cared about in your first job, right? A few $1,000s extra is totally worth going to a company and working for a guy you hate. But then you do that for a little bit and you start caring about the intrinsic motivators. You start caring about bigger things like a greater purpose in life, being part of something bigger than yourself, right? And this is where it starts. So for children, when we were children, where it starts is with your family, and that's why I recognize my family and friends, because it starts with your family and friends, culture does. And then it also starts with the organizations you spend the most time with and you're the most closely affiliated. So when you're a child, what are you motivated by? You're motivated in school by grades, maybe being part of a class, maybe education. And after you graduate on from going to school, you enter the working world. And when you enter the working world, you're supposed to get those motivations aligned again. But all too often at work and in our normal lives, we're talking about things that aren't so great for our culture, right? And I know a few of you are guilty of watching some of these shows that I'm showing up here. I've done it. All of us have done it. There's a reason why they get the high ratings. This is the anti-culture. This is what we're trying to shift. And when you talk about these things and you recognize these things as businesses or in our culture, and these are the things we're motivated by, and then our children become motivated by them, it's toxic. I want to talk about creating a new culture. I want to recognize the people behind me. Bruno Serrato. Go ahead, clap. He's good. Bruno Serrato owns the Anaheim White House down in Southern California. He feeds over 300 children every night with extra food from his spot. Hungry children. Why? Because he can and he wants to. If other restaurateurs did what Bruno Serrato did, we would put a huge dent in childhood hunger in America and maybe end it. Scott Harrison, founder of Charity Water. Yeah, he deserves it too. He's helped put 6,600 wells into Africa. He's helped provide water to people 2.5 million plus people who didn't have access to clean drinking water. Why? Because water changes everything. These are the people that we need to celebrate as a culture, but not just as a culture in the workplace, because all of us go to work 8 hours a day, or if you're like me, it's a few more hours than that a day, and I'm sure most of you guys too. These are the things that we need to not just celebrate and talk about and see on the front of magazine covers and see in the news, but these are the things that businesses need to push forward for and set as part of their goals of helping fund people like that or helping promote what they're doing to the next level. And the most important people in this aren't the Apple computers of the world. Apple's a fun example because Apple is such an innovative, cool, the biggest company ever. And if Apple decided, you know what, this year we're going to donate 10% of our net profits towards a cause, that would be about $3.28 billion. And some of you who own shares in Apple are like, no way, please. But 10% of the net profits, $3.28 billion, we're looking at being able to solve the water issue in Africa and put a well in every single village that doesn't have access to clean drinking water through groups like Charity Water and their affiliates. We could help provide food for those 1 in 5 children throughout America that are fighting hunger 2 to 3 times over. It doesn't start with the big companies. It starts, one, with the millennials. Because the millennials are altruistic. They've seen the world through the same lenses I pointed out in the beginning. And they happen to have their parents' ear, and so they can educate them on this movement and why it works. 2, women. Yeah. Women And particularly mothers are the alpha female consumer. Our whole brand has been built around my mom as a consumer. And it's because they generally run the household, and I'll even go a step further and say that every developed country and the most successful ones are the ones that empower women to the nth degree, and particularly independence and leadership from women. And 3, this movement starts with small businesses, people like me and my partners who started at very, very small. Because we can actually insert this into our business model. We're agile, we're small, we can do small local impacts very directly and help people around us. And over 87% of businesses in America are small businesses that do under $1 million of revenue. So that's the third class. And then lastly, it starts with you. You, the consumer, you decide the culture of America. You decide which brands, which products, which people you're going to invest your dollars in every day. Every day you spend $1, you are voting on those people, those brands, and those products. Services, everything. So I'm going to show you how we're doing it in our business, and then I'm going to end with one last slide to close it up.
Your picture in my head, I wish you were here. It's been a year and 2 weeks, I can't sleep until you come back to me. I hear your voice through the phone, and I count the days till you're home. So this time, I'll drink to you. Yeah, this one's for you. And I could say it a million ways, but this time, I'll drink to you.
Feel Something Now is about people purchasing our bottle of wine and feeling something. In that case, feeling patriotic. But it's about somebody on the other side feeling something now too. And that immediate impact on both ends. And that's the way this whole thing works for all of us, right? So, I'd be remiss with the heat turned up in the political arena if I didn't put a few things out there for perspective. And it's totally nonpartisan, because that's usually how I operate. Politicians are a representation of who we are as a company, not the sole root of the problems we see, but rather a reflection of the problems we see. Politicians are a representation of who we are as a country, not the sole root of us being the most innovative and powerful country in the world, but rather a reflection of the fact that we are the most innovative and powerful country in the world. We as business leaders, we as consumers, we as humanity and partners in this together, we control our business culture, and we control America's culture. We have an opportunity to get this right. We have an opportunity to be the beacon for all the other countries, to show them an equilibrium between hardcore capitalism and battling for results, and still being just as competitive about making sure that we have a high standard of living for everybody in our country. So, I leave you with the last challenge, which is the next section as you go on. The third section of this is create. So it's great to imagine. I'm one of the last speakers in the imagine part. You have to go out and do it too now. We all have to go out and do it. Our group of early 20-something-year-olds started with 168 cases in the back of a U-Haul truck with $10,000. And 5 years later, we're going to pass 50,000 cases sold, and we're going to break $1 million donated, and we're not stopping there. So it's about creating just as much, and if we can do it, so can all of you. So I leave you with the last statement that if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? Thank you. I'm so humbled to get to speak to all of you today.
Thank you, Jake.